My father stole my childhood. I've thought about killing my father. Now, these might sound like really strong statements from a son, but maybe not as surprising coming from a son who listened to his mother being killed at the hands of his own father when he was just 12 years old. For the first time in 33 years, this son, now a grown man, will confront his father and ask why his mother was killed. We'll meet them both later. But first, I hate my mother. My mother doesn't exist to me. These words are from a daughter who says at 8 years old, her mother abducted her, changed her name, and fled across the country, keeping her in hiding for nearly 2 years, changing her life forever.
I hate my biological mother for what she has done to me. My biological mother kidnapped me when I was 8 years old, and we were on the run for 2 years. She lied about my father and other male family members about molesting me. This is the excuse that she used to kidnap me. One day I remember she began questioning me about my father touching me. When I told her no, she would question me again over and over. And when she didn't like my answer, she sent me to my room. She ended up convincing me that my father must have molested me. After that, we went shopping for RVs, and I was told that this was going to be my new home. We just packed up and started driving across the country. I was told that I could pick what my first name was to be, so I wanted to be Samantha. We were on the run for the next 2 years of my life. All of a sudden, she said that she had to return to go back to court. And when she got to court, she was put into jail. And then she left town. She abandoned me. How could she leave just like that? She doesn't deserve to be called my mother. I want to confront Becky because I want her to know the pain that I have been dealing with all these years. She took my childhood away. I don't want a relationship with her at all.
Well, Mandy's mother, Becky, says she does not regret going on the run with her daughter.
I didn't do anything wrong. I'd do it again in a second. The only thing I'd do different if I had to do it over again is to leave this country. I was protecting my child from a child molester. I started noticing a lot of changes with her. I started putting all these pieces together that it all made sense. I noticed that she had thrown away her nightie and her panties in the trash can. One night, Amanda had returned from a visitation with her father, and she just started screaming at the top of her lungs. There was nothing that I could do to calm her down. I called a psychologist the next day. Amanda told the psychologist that she was molested by her father. Oh my God, it was hard to process. There was a hearing to take place. My lawyer told me, go underground, leave. Don't even show up. We took off across country and we left. There was no question in my mind. I was not going to let her go back to that family. I was underground for 2 years. My attorney called me. He said, we need to go back to court. I didn't have a choice. I was up on the stand. I got ripped apart. It was like I was in another country. What am I in, Nazi Germany? The court told me, you are never gonna see your child again. I passed out.
I'm trying to find some basis for you two to not be disconnected for the rest of your lives.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to get you to say something. I'm just saying, your daughter, and you should be very proud of your daughter, she's turned into a very fine young woman.
Yes.
And she's telling you that that never happened. Whatever conspired to create the illusion that it did, she's saying that it never happened. I tend to believe her that it didn't happen. I know she believes it didn't happen. And I'm saying, if that's true, then I would think, if I was the parent, I'd be going, wow, then I've really made a serious but well-intended mistake.
No, if I was wrong, I'm sorry. So sorry.
You affected my life and my father and my entire family. You put us through hell. I had to go back, and I was happy to be back with my dad, but I was scared of what he would think because of the things that were said.
My next guest, Butch, says his mother, Clarice, was brutally killed by his father, Ulysses, 33 years ago.
On the morning of June 25th, 1978, my father woke my brother and I and told us that my mother was outside and that he wanted us to ask her to come back into the house. So he sent my brother and I outside. I walked over and sat down next to my mother. She would have been right here, very close to me. I said, "Mom, would you please come back into the house?" And she turned to me and she said, "Butch, would you go back into a place where you felt like you were not wanted?" At some point, I heard my mother come back into the house, and I heard her tell my father that she was leaving. My father said, "If you try to leave, I'll kill you." My mother yelled out, "Kill me, kill me." Then I heard 2 gunshots. My mother was shot twice in her head. My father killed my mother. I walked over to her and she had this huge hole in the right side of her head. I didn't know what to do. So I went back into my room and took a pillow off my bed and brought it up. And I lifted my mother's head. And I put the pillow on my mother's head. My father was saying, "Butch, I had to do it. She was going to leave me." I always felt like my father used us to get my mother back into the house. I have not been able to forgive my father. Every time I go to Chicago, I go back to that place where I last saw my mother. And I always wish that I could see her again and tell her not to come back into that house.
Ulysses, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Is there anything that you want to say to your son, Butch?
Yes, I do. I want to say, first of all, again, I'm sorry for what happened. If I could change it, DrPhil, I could change it over again, I would definitely change it. There are many things that my son apparently has left out. I'm not going to get into that. All I'm going to say is I'm fully responsible for the loss of his mother. I apologize. I am sorry. My intention that day was not to take her life. I'm sorry. That's all I can say. I was arrested. I was put away for a period of time. I did my debt to society. I'll try to make amends in many ways. God has often said, if you can't forgive, how can I forgive you? I'm asking that of my son now. Let bygones be bygones, and let's move on with our lives.
What do you want to say?
Well, I don't know what a bygone is because, he has this way of saying some very insulting things. And, again, if I were not interested in testing the bounds of what it means to forgive, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. My mother's death, I always say, was the logical conclusion to a lot of violence in our home. The police were always at our home. They just always seemed to be knocking at our door. There was a lot of physical abuse in our house. The things that stand out for me most are the times when my father would punch my mother. The worst beating I recall, I remember hearing my mother screaming. We came downstairs and my father had my mother pinned on the couch. He was stabbing her in the top of her head with this ruler. She just screamed and he wouldn't let her off the couch. He just kept stabbing her in the head. There was always some blood on our floors. One evening when my father broke into our home and had my mother, me, and my younger brother and older sister at gunpoint, I remember him having us lined up on a bed. He sat by the door with a gun inside of a bag. Every time we said something he didn't like, he would go to the bag and draw the gun out. I remember very specifically him looking at me and saying, "Butch, you know your mother's a whore, right?" I didn't even know what a whore was back then. I was always afraid to leave my mother alone. I always felt in my heart that one day my father was going to kill my mother.
Ulysses, what do you want to say?
At this point, Dr. Phil, I'm really speechless. I'm really speechless because apparently a lot of things have been left out as far as what he's saying. It appears to me as though if my son is visualizing me as being the bad guy all that time, it seems like this is a situation that really can't be solved.
Well, in fairness to your son, the facts are that you did shoot his mother in the head twice and kill her, correct?
That is correct.
So, I mean, given that you did shoot her in the head twice and kill her, I think you would understand that he would have some very strong feelings about that.
Of course.
And isn't it also true that there was domestic violence in the marriage?
Yes, that is true.
And
That's true on both parts.
And didn't you threaten her with a gun years earlier in 1971?
Yes, I did.
At this point, sir, I believe you're 75 years of age, true?
In about 2 months.
I don't know how much time you or me or any of us, certainly Butch, is going to have in this world, and this may be the last time the two of you ever speak. I hope that's not the case. I pray that's not the case. If there's something that he needs to hear from you, wouldn't you like to know what that is?
I sure would, Dr. Phil. As a matter of fact, I'll go one better than that. If my son wants me to hear me say, I shot your mother twice, I'll say it because I did. Yes, I took her life. I destroyed my life. I destroyed her life. I destroyed my son's life. I did. I'm guilty of all that. I take complete responsibility for everything. I have carried this with me all my life. But at the same time, Dr. Phil, I feel that I have been forgiven by a higher being, and we all stand in judgment. I mean, what more can I say? The night of that incident, Clarice was drunk. She was
Man,
high.
it's so hard for me to listen to you insult my mother that way. It is extremely hard for me to listen to you insult my mother that way. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? Don't you dare say my mother was drunk.
Dr. Phil.
Don't you dare say my mother was drunk.
Dr. Phil.
The police report specified that both you and she showed no signs of being drunk.
Dr. Phil, I'm not doing well as it is, as it stands here.
Right.
The only thing I can do in order to end this is tell my son, I am very sorry for what occurred. I know the condition I was in then. I know the condition that she was in then. Irregardless of what says what, I knew what happened. When those threats of what was made, he was in another room. He didn't see what happened. He came out the room when she was laying down. He did not see what was going on.
My father continues to keep a lie between us. My intent is to try to bring this to a place where, you know, we give a new meaning to forgiveness. I believe that is possible.
But you know, and I know, and he knows what happened that day. I mean, it's clear, right? He did it?
He did it.
And he used you to do it. Do you think about that? Do you think about getting used by him?
Oh, boy. You know, when I go back to that place, when I sit there where I last sat with my mother, I think often about what if I would have told her to run instead of, you know, there were times where I'd ask my mother, when would I be old enough to fight my father? She told me just to work on being a better man than your father.
Do you have a story or a question for me? Click the link in the description and tell me what in the world is going on.